All right, today we're going to talk about a name that everyone knows, but a history that almost nobody does. We're diving into the wild story of Yahoo Search, the original giant of the web.
So, let me ask you a simple question. Before Google, who was in charge of web search? I mean, it's almost hard to imagine, right? Google feels like it's always been there. But believe me, before Googling was a thing, another company was the absolute, undisputed king of finding stuff online.
And here's the twist that changes everything. The original Yahoo wasn't a search engine like we think of them today. It wasn't an army of robots crawling the web. No, it was a directory. Think of it less like a robot and more like a librarian, carefully, manually creating a card catalog for the entire internet. This little detail, this human touch, it's the key to understanding Yahoo's entire story.
So let's go back. Let's start at the very beginning and see how this human-powered guide became the web's first real pioneer. It all kicked off at Stanford in 1994 with a couple of grad students, Jerry Yang and David Philo. Their project had, I kid you not, the best name ever, Jerry and David's Guide to the World Wide Web. And it just exploded in popularity. Why? Well, because it solved the single biggest problem of the early internet. How do you find anything? For millions of people, Yahoo wasn't just a site, it was the front door to this new online world.
But then, a huge pivot. By the year 2000, the web was just getting too massive to catalog by hand. So Yahoo made a really fateful decision. It started licensing its search results from this clever little startup with a seriously powerful new algorithm. And yeah, that startup was Google. But you can't just rent your core technology from a competitor forever, right? Yahoo knew it had to control its own destiny. And that led to this incredibly aggressive new phase. It was time to build its very own search empire. So, to go head-to-head with Google's homegrown tech, Yahoo basically went on a massive shopping spree. The goal was to just buy up the talent and the technology it needed to build a world-class search crawler from scratch. And the first huge piece of that puzzle was a company called Inktomi, which they snapped up in late 2002.
And they didn't stop there. The very next year, they made an even bigger buy. Overture services. Now, this was absolutely crucial because Overture had basically invented paid search advertising, the business model that was about to make search engines billions and billions of dollars.
And get this is what shows you just how ambitious they were. That Overture deal came with a treasure chest of search history, including two of the most legendary names of the early web, All the Web and Alta Vista. Yahoo is literally buying its own ancestors to build its future. It's kind of poetic, right?
So after putting all these pieces together, Yahoo was finally ready. In February of 2004, they flicked the switch. They dropped Google's results and they launched their very own independent search technology. The search wars were officially on.
But as you know, the tech world moves incredibly fast. After years of fighting it out with Google, Yahoo's strategy was about to take another dramatic U-turn, one that would lead to an alliance with one of its biggest rivals.
This timeline right here really tells the story perfectly. In 2000, they were powered by Google. By 2004, it was all their own tech. And then in 2009, another massive shift, a partnership with Microsoft Bing.
And this wasn't just some small thing. It was a monumental 10-year deal. Look, by this point, Google was an absolute juggernaut. Trying to compete head-on was just burning through cash, so they made a really pragmatic choice. Team up with Microsoft. Let Bing do the heavy lifting of crawling the web, while Yahoo focused on the user experience.
This deal really kicked off a whole new era for Yahoo. They stopped trying to be the singular search technology. Instead, they evolved into something totally different, a search portal that pulled in the best of the web, no matter who made it. And you can see this new identity crystal clear in the partnerships they made in the 2010s. They teamed up with Yelp for better local search results. They struck a massive deal with Mozilla to be the default search engine in the Firefox browser. And then, in a crazy twist, they even made a deal to bring some Google results back into the fold. Yahoo was now a hub, not just an engine.
So, that brings us to today. After this long, twisting, turning road, where does the web's original guide actually stand now?
Let's just start with a single number. No context, just the number. In the US search market, Yahoo's share is 3.22%.
Okay, now let's put that number into perspective. You've got Google, which is this sprawling metropolis holding down about 85% of the market. Then you've got Microsoft's Bing with around 9%, and then there's Yahoo with its 3.22%. Now that might sound like a small little island, but you have to remember that island still represents millions and millions of searches every single day.
So, to wrap up where things stand right now, Yahoo Search is part of the larger Yahoo Inc., and its results are still mostly powered by its longtime partner, Microsoft Bing, carrying on that big alliance that started way back in 2009.
And all of this leaves us with one last really fascinating question. I mean, think about it. Yahoo has been a directory, a competitor, and a partner. It is a survivor that has adapted over and over again. So, in a world that seems to be completely dominated by one company, what could the next chapter possibly look like for the web's very first guide?